Good morning. I just cleaned my table. Okay, just gonna get my iPad set up real quick. Then we will get started. Trying to decide if we need light. Okay. So, oh shoot, I'm gonna use my iPad. Well, I'll have to just pay attention if there's questions. Okay. So I've been kind of switching back and forth on tracing digital patterns versus paper patterns. So today I'm going to do a digital pattern because my printer is not working. So, all right. This is my very high skill way I cut out fabric. So I like to have about an inch or inch and a half on each side of my hoop. So about there, and I just cut around it. I know, it's very fancy. Okay, so now we have our fabric and our hoop. I'm gonna use a plastic hoop to stitch in, and then I'll finish it in a beechwood hoop. So if you're using a bamboo hoop, hold on a second, let me loosen this a little. If you're using a bamboo hoop, before you take your inner hoop out, I would just mark it. Get a little marker and just mark the inside of the hoop that's the center. Sometimes the bamboo hoops are a little bit not completely round. They're a little bit oblong. So this will help you keep your hoop the same on the inside as it is on the outside. So you don't have like gaps and stuff. So if you're using a bamboo hoop, just mark that center so you know where it's at in case you like take this out and forget what you've done. Okay. So loosen your hardware, take your inner hoop out. We're going to put our inner hoop on the back side, and our outer hoop goes over top. Okay, so now that it's in there, I like to tighten this and then pull this tight. So what we're doing is we want our fabric in our hoop to be as tight as it can be so that we don't have like puckering when we start stitching on it. So I usually tighten it, or I pull the fabric tight and then I tighten this again. If you have hardware that has like a screw, you can use a screwdriver. This one is really easy to tighten just with my fingers. I can get it really tight. But if you're having a hard time, you can use pliers or a screwdriver or whatever. So, and then once I do that, I pull it tight one more time, just all the way around. I hold on to the hoop on the inside and the outside and just pull that fabric as snug as I can. And just all the way around. Okay, so once it's tight, it should sound a little bit like a drum. Not sure why it ever occurred to me to mark the center. Oh yeah, that's like my favorite trick. Okay. So you want this like drum tight. So it should, it should be pretty tight on there. I like to trim off the corners because I feel like corners always catch when I'm stitching. So I like to have my corners rounded, but I cut it shorter when I'm done stitching, like before I finish the back. So I will stitch with it looking like this. Okay. So once your fabric is in there, I printed this a while ago, but I was trying to figure out Anyways, so cut out, if you're using a paper pattern, cut it out just on the inside of the circle, and then that'll fit right inside of your hoop, and you can hold the fabric up to it and trace on it. I'm gonna do it digitally though, so I forgot I was gonna do that, so let me bring this up on my iPad really quick. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So one thing with iPads is one of the biggest troubles is that this will move when you draw on it. So what I like to do, so I trace this way on the wrong side, and then I flip my fabric over. So if you can see it through this way, then I would trace this way. But I cannot, so I trace it this way, and then I just take my fabric over and flip it over because I don't like to stitch with it this way. So that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm gonna do is lay this on my screen, and then I'm just gonna make the pattern fit in there. And then iPad has a cool feature where if it has to be turned on, it's called guided access. But if you triple click, whoops, then it'll say guided access started. If it doesn't, sometimes it'll bring it up and be like, are you sure you want to do this? And then you have to like put in your passcode, because now this won't move. Like I can't draw on it, I can't move it. It just stays where it's at. So then I can trace on it without having any problems. And then to get out of it, you do the same thing. You triple tap, and then it'll bring up like a keypad to put in your password to get that off. So I'm gonna bring this a little closer to me. Okay, so when I trace patterns, I do not trace every single little detail because it just feels like it's too much once I get like trying to stitch it. So I'm gonna start up here with the pineapple. This one I will do all of it because we are going to use those lines. And this is a Pilot Friction pen. I couldn't find, so if this is a clicker one. I usually use a marker, but I couldn't find any markers. Okay, we've got our banana. Leaning up there on our pineapple. So on this, I'm just going to do the outer circle. I'm not going to do this inner circle because I don't think it's necessary. Make sure if you're tracing from a screen, so you could do this from a computer screen as well. If it's not touch screen, then it would be even easier. But make sure your brightness is up all the way so it's a little bit easier to see. Actually, I wonder. Oh yeah, I shouldn't have turned that on. Okay. Little lemon. Oh, we need the lines of our lime slice. How many did, is that right? 1, 2, 3. I think there's supposed to be 4. Okay, and then we've got our orange over here. Orange, grapefruit, lemon, lime. Giselle, what are you freaking out about? What is that face for? What did I say? I missed when that came up. Okay, I'm not going to draw the seeds on there because they are going to be on top of the watermelon. So I'm just going to leave them and we'll just do stitches like over top of the red. So you won't be able to see. If we draw those on, you won't be able to see them. So it won't matter. Same with the kiwi. You're not going to need, I'm just going to draw like an oval in the middle, but I'm not going to try and draw all those seeds. You can freeze your screen and actually trace on it without it shifting around. Oh yeah, heck yeah. Guided access. Make sure it's turned on in your settings first. But yeah. I'm also not going to draw the tops of the strawberries because those, again, those will be on top of other stitches, so we don't need to draw them. Okay, so we've got some blueberries. I did move my pattern a little, so I'm like, it's gonna be a little bit off, but I'm not super worried about it. And then same for the raspberries as for the strawberries. I'm not gonna draw those little tops. Okay, friends. That's it. I am not super worried about really straight lines. Like these are kind of crooked and funky. When I get stitching, I kind of sometimes will go in and be like, oh, that's not quite centered, and I'll kind of redraw these. But we're going to stitch over top of all of this, so I'm not super worried about it. If you're using a pencil instead of like something that's going to erase, you're going to want to be a little bit more exact with where you're drawing because a pencil won't erase. But if you're using something that's like going to disappear, then it's not as big of a deal. So there is that. And then we are ready to go Monday. I will show you what I do also with this. If you're tracing digitally, I loosen this. And then I just do the same thing. So that just goes back on the bottom. This goes back on top. And then there's a crease where I had it tightened to. So I just get that centered again and retighten my hoop. Tighten that and then pull this snug. See, now this is a little bit closer over here than over here, so I'm going to pull this side first to get it pulled over here a little bit tighter first, and then I can pull it tight over here so that it doesn't pull quite as much. Oh, Roman, what are you doing, buddy? Sometimes I also will like hold this like up against my chest. Sorry. Like I'll hold the hoop up against my chest while I pull, or like my stomach or something. Okay. And then we're set. So you can stitch it on the inside, like on this inside if you want. Like you could leave it there and stitch it. I know some people do. I personally don't like to. So I always flip mine back, the fabric back over so that I have it like this. So, all right, friends, that is all I have for you today. So we start stitching on Monday. I will post what stitches we're learning this week later today, but we're gonna start with the fruit in the background, and then I'll work our way through the middle and then the front. So whoop, whoop, whoop is what we'll be doing. So anyways, thanks for joining me today, and I will see you again on Monday. Bye.